And I want to ask a question, and something, Laura, you wrote in your first book, The Secret History of the World, and you referred to your husband's work about the event, what was it, the EQT, event quantum theory, and in relation to objective reality, like, because from what I hear, there's not much we can do about what's happening in the world and the cosmic changes. But it's also your theory that the more people actually observe the universe as it views itself, the more we get a line of objective reality, the more we can mitigate these kind of events from happening. So in that sense, it's very important. Just the best thing we can do for our world is to really seek truth in the most objective way as we can.
Well, what we're seeing is what happens when we do the exact opposite, which is that you have all these people who are not seeing the world as it really is and following in this illusion, and things are going to pot. So, maybe the other way is true. Why don't we try it? Who knows?
Absolutely. Sitting up and taking notice, at least, would be a start.
Yeah, but it feels so hopeless because people are so frightened. They're so traumatized, and this is being done deliberately, and we keep saying over and over again, people, wake up. This is what they're doing to you. They're doing this to you deliberately. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And, of course, our voice is so small and so obscure, and they have so much money. They have billions of dollars in the Pentagon.
And we don't publish in peer-reviewed journals.
And, and then they have the cyber warfare. And, it just has to happen one person at a time, That's all I can say. And in a funny sort of way, I guess when we put the information out there and people choose to ignore it and to believe the lies, they've chosen, and they have condemned themselves by their refusal to accept the truth.
Living slaves.
Right. So, but back to that theory, but in a sense, because on some level our consciousness has an effect on reality, right? And there's this whole distortion in the New Age about you made your own reality, right? Where people kind of hide in their subjective bubble of just focusing on what they want to see.
Yep.
When in fact, kind of yes, truth is mixed with lies, and we actually do create our own reality to a degree, but it is more about seeing the world as it is, and then we would create more harmony and, on some level prevent these events from happening.
Yeah, if we could get enough people to see it, that could happen, because, the one thing that happens when you finally acknowledge how things really are. Now, what would happen if all of these people who are so scared, like the one Joe just described, it says, if it's keeping the kids safe, what if that guy suddenly said, wait a minute, this is not acceptable, this has nothing to do with keeping our kids safe, I'm going to do something, I'm going to get together with my neighbors, and we are all going to see this reality, and we're going to act based on what is true. Then you see that it's in a sense, you create your own reality, but it doesn't happen without a little bit of, blood, sweat, and tears. There's 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. Seeing the truth. It's like John Lennon's.
Right.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So basically, I get that. So the more people would see objective reality, then they would actually act on it and not buy into the lies and not being fooled and manipulated by the system government. And even now with the people would realize that what is happening with the comets and the cosmic changes, and they would realize that the powers are aware of that and also can do nothing about it, they would just not simply, go along anymore with the whole
game. It's like John Lennon said, he believes, love is all you need, but just saying it isn't going to do it.
Right.
You gotta actually do things.
Yeah, so where did that whole you create your own reality thing come from precisely?
I think it's some kind of postmodernist reinterpretation of quantum uncertainty principle.
I found this interesting book by Mark Twain. I got a Kindle collection of all of his works, and in there is a sort of a satire of Christian Science. That was the Blavatsky thing or something?
No, that was Theosophy.
There was that book.
Mary Baker Eddy.
With the Key to the Scriptures thing and stuff like that. And he writes this thing about it. And the way he satires it is basically like saying that, in essence, their philosophy was this: you create your own reality. So obviously, this whole thing was very old, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like the Christian Scientist comes to him and says, "Well, you haven't really broken all those bones. They're not really broken. You know, you just have to think positive thoughts, and they will magically be healed. You know, type of thing." So it's obviously like very old.
Didn't work out for a lot of people though.
It's very old, and it's not just something that's limited to New Age type people today. It's become the global state of mind. You know, I created
my truth, your truth.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what the hell happened to the truth
and the world?
Yeah, reality.
Yeah. Well, that goes into what I'm struggling here with in the New Age kingdom of the world here in Los Angeles. Like, you know, the whole idea about like, when I speak about truth, well, then there's no truth. There's only my truth and your truth, and
you got your work cut out for you.
You know, and all these things. You know,
I
get bombarded with when I speak out about these things. But yeah, it is. I mean, it's really sad because literally the whole New Age thing is very. It's the same that like fundamental religion. Fundamentalist religion, you know.
Yeah, it's New Age fundamentalism.
Yeah.
You create your own reality, and then they want to believe that aliens are going to, you know, come down and save them or beam them aboard, and you know, out of all their problems, and all they have to do is, you know, what really fries me is this guy. What's his name? Wayne Dwyer or something.
Wayne Dwyer.
He did all of these, you know, books about, you know, how to. Basically how to create your own reality. So he talks about how he did it. You know, he wrote this book, and then he got a whole bunch of copies of the book, put them in the back of a station wagon, and he went on a tour across the country. Every city he went to, he had like, you know, these cities that he went to that were designated. He had marked them on a map. He'd go there and he'd go and knock on the door of radio stations and tell them he's got this book and he wants them to interview him on the radio, so he can talk about his book. You know, this is a great book. You know, so he gets on the radio and he does this whole, you know, blitzkrieg tour of the entire United States, talking on radios, you know, and then of course a lot of doors got slammed in his face. But basically he put a huge amount of physical activity and effort into making his dream come true. And then he tells people, you know, basically you just got to, you know, think positive and be positive and things will happen for you. But that's not what he did. Right. He got in a station wagon and drove across the country knocking on doors and force-fed his book into the market and made himself a bestseller.
Right.
You know, what kind of deal is that?
Right, kind of like those books, you know, how to get rich in 20 days, and then this guy who wrote the book is getting rich by selling the book, basically.
What about this Anthony Robbins guy?
I tell this story every once in a while. I love Anthony Robbins. He's like a personal hero of mine. Not for the reason, right? He's an author. He's a life coach type of thing. Yeah. He does these seminars, NLP, so he's all into that kind of stuff. So he's like a personal hero, but not for the reasons he is for other people. So he has this seminar that he does about how to get wealthy. And he does this introductory speech where he's talking about, I'm watching this introductory speech on the video, and he's talking about when he first came up with his first life coaching seminar. He's like, I was writing the seminar about how to increase your wealth, and I was living in a one-room apartment sleeping underneath my desk. And so I said, okay, so you were selling a seminar on how to get rich while you're living in a one-room apartment sleeping under your desk, right? And then I started to think about how paradoxical this was, because I started thinking, until the moment when people paid to go to the seminar, he was a liar. But the moment they actually paid for the seminar and believed him, he was telling the truth. He really did know how to get rich. So it's kind of like this paradox, because he wasn't a success until people believed that he knew the idea of success, and then he was a success, and then therefore we know the idea of success. And it always trips me out about how circular that is.
Well, that's what it comes down to, yeah.
He's a genius. My favorite thing about Tony Robbins, though, is he wrote this book, and he went around the country doing this seminar about how to have the perfect relationship with your wife, and then like 6 months later divorced.
Wasn't he the guy who took people firewalking and they all burned their feet?
I don't know if he did that.
I think he did.
I think he did that on a retreat or something. He got in trouble for it.
His husband went on and actually did it. He did the firewalk.
Come firewalk with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, guys. you know.
Yeah.
I just
Thank you for calling,
All right,
Bernard.
Yeah, good to hear from you, and keep up the good work, guys.
I would say keep California safe, but I'd rather hear you call in and tell us what the view from beneath the ocean looks like.
Yeah.
All right,
take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so I suppose I'll just give out the number here again in case people want to call in. It's from the US, 718-508-9499, and you put 001 in front of that from outside the US, and you can also email us at radio@sott.net. So I just want to get back to what we were talking about beforehand, because I have some stuff to say on that, and I will be heard.
Oh dear.
You've got a rant coming.
Well, I don't know. No, it's basically just about, because I have some, okay, hang on, somebody just is interrupting me here with another call. And since I'm such a good person, I'm going to cut myself off in favor of this caller. I hope they better say something good.
Hi, caller, you're on the air. What's your name?
Hello, caller?
You scared them away.
They just, I scared them away. It was when I said they better have something good to say. They hung up. All right, if you want to call back, you don't have to have something particularly good to say, as long as you've got something to say. You can call back. But yeah, so
don't be scared. Joe's a nice guy, really.
I'm really nice.
No, he's not.
No.
He beats me every time before we come on to the show.
So, getting back to this thing, I was just saying that basically they're having this debate, senators and the probable new director of the CIA, having this debate, not really a debate, a discussion about whether or not it's okay to kill Americans in any way, but potentially with drones, because that seems to be the weapon of choice these days, extrajudicially, i.e. no, what is the Fifth Amendment, no due process, just if the CIA thinks you're an enemy combatant or you're doing something wrong, they can kill you and boom, it's all legal, apparently. They're saying it's legal, that they've checked with their lawyers, and of course Obama's I think he was originally a constitutional lawyer, but I don't think Obama has much to do with it anyway. Like I said, it's the CIA and all these crazy people, backroom boys, who are going out collecting intelligence and deciding who is the enemy combatant and who isn't, and then presenting that, and supposedly Obama has the final say, but Obama's just going to take what they say. He's not out there doing the research, he's not out there gathering intelligence.
You know that happened back in ancient Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened to the people who instituted that rule and actually did it?
They
lost their heads. I mean, literally lost their heads.
Yep.
And they got put on pikes.
Well, I have an audio clip here that I'm going to play from the Senate confirmation hearing for this guy John Brennan. And I just want to say, actually, before there's a caveat here that this guy John Brennan is Irish, or his parents, he's the son of Irish immigrants, and for reasons that will become clear, on behalf of myself and Neil, I would just want to say that he's a disgrace to the Irish population, because we're both Irish, and we're basically disowning him.
We have nothing to do with this.
Any claim he has to any Irish ancestry has been revoked by me and Neil. Anyway, here's the clip.
Let me ask you several other questions with respect to the President's authority to kill Americans. I've asked you how much evidence the President needs to decide that a particular American can be lawfully killed, and whether the administration believes that the President can use this authority inside the United States. In my judgment, both the Congress and the public need to understand the answers to these kind of fundamental questions. What do you think needs to be done to ensure that members of the public understand more about when the government thinks it's allowed to kill them, particularly with respect to those two issues, the question of evidence and the authority to use this power within the United States?